Congressional appropriators are rejecting some of the most severe agency budget cuts proposed by the Trump administration. It's the latest step lawmakers are taking to pass a comprehensive spending plan for the rest of the fiscal year and avoid a partial government shutdown at the end of the month. They're also looking to put additional guardrails on unilateral agency reorganizations that could further shrink the federal workforce. Federal News Network's Jory Heckman is here with more insight. Jory, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Terry. Great to be here.
I know you've had the joy of reading through some of these spending bills. What are some of the highlights of the current package?
Yeah, a little bit of light reading to start the new year. The highlights here for this package, which covers the commerce, justice, science, energy and water development, and interior and environment appropriations bills, all three of those. The real highlight here is some provisions included that would put some controls on agencies' ability to go ahead with agency reorganization efforts. That is until they provide advance notice to appropriators. They're saying that a handful of activities can't proceed until the relevant appropriations committees get 30 days notice of what exactly is going to be happening. And the examples of what is being specified here include reprogramming funds to create a program or to eliminate a program, to relocate an office or employees, and to cut more than 5% of the funding or employees that support a given program, project, or activity. And this would apply to a wide swath of agencies. Considering the funding bills here, this would be the Justice Department, the Interior Department, Commerce, Energy, the EPA, the National Science Foundation, and NASA, just to name a few.
Does that notice also imply that Congress has to approve it, or is it just notice before it can proceed?
Yeah, it's an important thing to bring up here. I think it's just notice. It's not the appropriators giving a thumbs up or thumbs down. But even then, there are some lawmakers who have complained that agencies have kind of unilaterally been doing this work, not giving Congress a lot of involvement in all of this. And thinking back even to the recent government shutdown, OMB Director Russ Vought said that pertaining to layoffs that were in the works at that time, he said that it was appropriate for the Trump administration to proceed with that because Congress wasn't saying anything in the appropriations. It let appropriations lapse and suggested that was lawmakers saying that these are no longer priorities. So this is a lot of lawmakers stepping up and saying that actually these are programs that they care about and that they do have an active role in this stuff proceeding.
Well, as you look at the bills, then are they net gains for these agencies or net losses in terms of revenue?
Overall, what you're looking at here are pretty modest spending cuts to these agencies, a matter of a few percentage points here and there. But what is not happening is the dramatic cuts to some agencies that the Trump administration proposed last year. I'll give you a good example here. EPA's budget under this minibus would be cut by about 4% in the rest of fiscal 2026. And that's a far cry from the 55% budget cut that the Trump administration had proposed. Some others here, a modest cut to NASA's overall budget, but it rejects the Trump administration's plans to cut its science budget nearly in half and terminate dozens of operating and planned missions. And one other one here, the National Science Foundation, they're also getting about a 4% budget cut, but the administration had proposed a 57% cut to its spending.
So maybe that's a reason for optimism. One of the other topics that's been hotly debated is a new headquarters for the FBI. How is that captured in this minibus?
Right. That falls into the justice bucket of the spending bills we've been talking about. And quite notably here, a Democratic holdout on these plans to keep the FBI's headquarters in D.C., relocate it just down the street to the Ronald Reagan building. This holdout, Senator Chris Van Hollen, a member of the Appropriations Committee and a ranking member of the relevant subcommittee that handles justice funding, he says that there's a deal in the works here that would allow the FBI to tap into existing funds that have been appropriated for this project back when it was going to be a suburban campus in Greenbelt, Maryland, that they could then repurpose those funds to go ahead with the Ronald Reagan building plan so long as the FBI provides congressional appropriators with an architectural and engineering plan, and that would include safety concerns, efforts to mitigate those safety concerns. One big thing that has come up multiple times with this new plan is that the Ronald Reagan building is a public building. Anyone can get into it with relatively minor security, and you can get right up close to it. The whole prospect of a suburban campus is that it would be secured, there would be a secure perimeter, and you really couldn't get anywhere close to the facility if you were a malicious actor.
We'll see how that one plays out. So collectively, is there a Democratic position on the spending bills?
Yeah, we heard from the top Democrats on the House and Senate Appropriations Committees saying that this is language that they fought hard on, and that this is lawmakers saying that the Trump administration cannot unilaterally proceed on how taxpayer dollars are meant to be spent. One other thing we saw last year was that OMB impounded some funds that were congressionally appropriated, and they said actually these agencies aren't going to get the funds that was spelled out in the previous spending bill. GAO, the Government Accountability Office, has taken a close look at that, and it has dozens of other investigations pending on that. But that's one thing lawmakers brought up, and they say that this is Congress stepping up as far as the checks and balances of it all, making sure that the dollars they appropriate go to the programs that they intend them to go to.
And what is the Republican response to that position?
Republicans say that this ultimately achieves what they set out to do, which is budget cuts. They're more modest budget cuts than what was initially anticipated. But they say that this reflects lower budgets for agencies that have had reductions in workforce, the Interior Department, the EPA, and the Forest Service, to name a few.
Some folks say that these are the easiest agencies to come to agreement on in this minibus, and that there's still some hard negotiations ahead for the remaining agencies. How close would you say Congress is to avoiding another government shutdown at the end of the month?
Well, when you look at these three spending bills and you look at the three other spending bills that Congress has passed, they are halfway there to the 12 bills that will ultimately will make up the FY 2026 budget. But yeah, there are still some hard battles ahead. This current package that we're speaking about, it has not yet passed the House or Senate. It's still early stages there. So it's really unclear at this point. But yeah, I mean, given the 43-day government shutdown last year, folks are still reeling from the impacts of that. And, it's hard to say whether we'll see a part two to that by the end of January, but there is a lot of work that lies ahead between now and that January 30th deadline.
That's Federal News Network's Jory Heckman. Jory, thanks for giving us this rundown.
Terry, thanks so much.
You can find his full story at federalnewsnetwork.com.